Lonely cow were slowly dying in the farm, but this dog came and something incredible happened. Aowen, a young calf with big, expressive eyes, had already faced more hardship than most cows would in a lifetime. Struggling with a mental condition that left her isolated and withdrawn, her chances of a happy life seemed slim. When a young couple decided to rescue her and bring her to their farm, they knew she needed more than just a safe place to live. They decided to find her a friend. But what happened next took them completely by surprise. How did Aowen, who had never known the joy of companionship, react to the new arrival? Stay tuned for today's video on Animal Needs Love and find out more. Aowen's life began like many calves, but from the moment she was born, it was clear that her path would be different. Raised on a local dairy farm, she was expected to follow the usual cycle: grow, produce, and eventually contribute to the herd. But Aowen had a problem. She wasn't producing milk at the level the farmer had hoped, and soon it became apparent that something deeper was wrong. When the farmer realized Aowen's slow growth and unusual behavior, he consulted a vet, but the diagnosis was nothing short of devastating. Aowen had been born with a mental condition that left her unable to connect with the world in the way other calves did. Her mind was clouded, making her fearful and withdrawn. Unable to bond with the rest of the herd, she was left isolated, a young calf with no place to belong. After months of trying and failing to fix her, the farmer made a hard decision. He couldn't afford to keep an animal that wasn't contributing to his livelihood, so he made the choice to surrender her. It wasn't a choice he made out of malice, but one born of frustration and necessity. Aowen's future was uncertain, and at such a young age, her chances seemed slim. But fate had other plans. Phil and Lauren, a young couple who had recently started their own small farm, heard about Aowen's situation. They had always dreamed of rescuing animals in need, and when they found out about Aowen's struggles, they knew they had to give her a chance. With no expectations beyond providing her a safe and loving home, they brought her to their farm, hoping that in time she might find her place in the world. What they didn't expect was how much Aowen would change their lives, and how much they would change hers. When Aowen arrived at Phil and Lauren's farm, she was a picture of uncertainty. Her wide, soulful eyes scanned her new surroundings, but her body remained tense, her movements cautious. She had known nothing but isolation. And the new space, lush green pastures, the gentle sounds of birds and wind in the trees, felt overwhelming. She stood apart from the other animals, unsure of her place, afraid to get too close. The couple had hoped that with time Aowen would adapt, but they quickly realized she was struggling in ways they hadn't anticipated. What they hadn't known until a routine checkup with their vet was that Aowen's condition was more serious than just emotional trauma. It turned out that, in addition to her mental challenges, Aowen was also carrying bovine viral diarrhea, BVD, the same condition that had made her such a challenge at the dairy farm. This meant she had a compromised immune system, and though BVD wasn't contagious to humans or most other animals, it could be devastating to other cows. Phil and Lauren were heartbroken. They had already grown attached to Aowen, and they knew the risks of keeping her around the rest of their animals. They had to separate her, both for her own safety and the health of the farm. While they set up a private pasture just for her, away from the other animals, it became painfully clear that Aowen's loneliness was not only due to her illness, but also the emotional scars she carried from being isolated for so long. Cows, like all herd animals, thrive on companionship, and Aowen had missed out on that vital connection for her entire life. Her new home, though peaceful, felt empty to Aowen. The quiet countryside, the green pastures, and the gentle sounds of nature were soothing, but it couldn't fill the void of her isolation. Despite the couple's best efforts to comfort her, sitting with her, offering food, and talking to her in gentle tones, Aowen remained distant. She seemed unsure of the people who had taken her in, as if waiting for them to let her down as she had been let down before. As the days passed, it became clear to Phil and Lauren that Aowen needed more than just their care. She was lonely, and no amount of patience or gentle gestures could fill the gap left by the lack of a companion. They had tried their best, but the deep emotional wounds Aowen carried were more than they could heal alone. That's when they decided to do something they hoped would change everything. They would find Aowen a friend. After discussing their options with their vet, they decided that a farm dog might be the perfect companion. Unlike other cows, dogs were not susceptible to BVD, and a dog could be a constant loyal companion to Aowen, helping her feel less alone and more connected to the world around her. But the dog would need to be patient, kind and protective, someone who could understand Aowen's need for care and gentleness, and in turn, offer her the emotional support she so desperately needed. After weeks of searching, Phil and Lauren found the perfect match in Otis, a farm dog with a troubled past. Otis had been surrendered by his previous owners after a tragic incident. He had wandered onto a neighbor's property, and in fear for their livestock, the neighbor had shot him. Despite this harsh treatment, Otis had a resilient spirit and a deep-seated protective instinct. He was still young, full of energy, and in desperate need of love and stability, just like Aowen. Phil and Lauren knew it was a risk bringing Otis into their farm, especially given his history, but they felt a spark of hope that he could be the one to help Aowen, to give her the companionship she so desperately needed. The introductions were slow and careful at first. Aowen, still wary and anxious from her past, approached cautiously, her big brown eyes flicking between Otis and the people around her. Otis, for his part, was calm and patient, his instincts sensing that this was no ordinary cow. He didn't rush to greet her. Instead, he kept his distance, watching her closely as if waiting for her to make the first move. Then, something unexpected happened. As if guided by an invisible thread, Aowen took a few tentative steps toward Otis. She lowered her head, sniffing the air. Otis, sensing her hesitation, slowly approached, his tail wagging just slightly. And then, in a moment that felt almost magical, Aowen made the first move. She nuzzled him gently, testing the waters. Otis, without hesitation, responded by playfully darting away, wagging his tail and inviting her to join him. The two of them began to chase each other around the pasture, their movements fluid, joyful, a sharp contrast to the hesitant and lonely calf that had first arrived at the farm. Phil and Lauren watched in awe as the pair began to play together, their bond forming instantly. Aowen had never known what it was like to have a friend, someone who would share her space, her time, and her energy. And Otis, despite his painful past, seemed to instinctively understand her need for connection. He became her protector, her playmate, and her companion in every sense of the word. As the days went on, Aowen and Otis spent nearly every moment together. They explored the pasture side by side, their bond growing deeper with each passing day. At night, Otis would settle beside Aowen in her small shelter, always on alert, always watching over her. It was clear that his instincts were sharp. He was more than just a playmate. He was fiercely protective of his new friend. Aowen, for her part, was learning how to trust again. She began to show signs of happiness, her ears perked up at the sound of Otis's bark, and her once timid eyes began to soften as she followed him around with increasing confidence. For the first time in her life, she wasn't alone. Phil and Lauren, watching their bond develop, felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. They had given Aowen a chance. But it was Otis who had truly brought her back to life. It wasn't just that she was no longer lonely, it was that she was now thriving. She had a purpose in her relationship with Otis, and together they created a dynamic that neither of them could have achieved alone. Like, what can we do? Like, she needs a companion. Fortunately, the two of them have each other, and it's working out really well. As Aowen grew older, she continued to defy expectations. The vet had initially told Phil and Lauren that her life expectancy would likely be no more than 2 years. Yet, here she was, not only surviving but thriving, nearing her 3rd birthday and still growing stronger with each passing day. Her condition, though still a risk, had not stopped her from living a full, joyful life. And as she approached that 3rd birthday, it became clear that Aowen had found something truly precious: peace. Aowen's story had become one of inspiration for many who had heard it. Visitors from all over came to the farm to meet the pair, drawn by the heartwarming sight of a dog and a cow who were more than just animals. They were best friends, partners, and family. The unlikely pair taught those who met them an invaluable lesson. Love knows no boundaries, not of species, not of circumstance, and not of hardship. And in the end, that was the most powerful thing of all. What do you think of the bond between Aowen and Otis? Have you ever witnessed an unlikely friendship that surprised you? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts and stories. Thank you so much for watching to the end. If you find our video interesting, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with others. Finally, don't forget to turn on our bell and subscribe to our channel. Animals need love, so you don't miss any of our new videos. Thank you for your support. Wishing you all peace, happiness. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.